Is it that gentlemen wish? What would they have? Is life so dear or peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty, or give me death. The investigating commissions came and went. The endless words were spoken, and the solemn votes were taken. The promises were made, and we believed them. Promises were made, and most of them were broken. But in spite of the commissions and the speeches, the endless delays and the broken promises, behold the state of Israel.
La declaración de independencia del nuevo Estado de Israel.
Nous vous donnerons à l'instant la déclaration d'indépendance de l'État d'Israël qui vient d'être créé.
We bring you now the voice of Major Audrey Eban, delegate of the government of Israel to the United Nations, reading the Declaration of Independence issued in Tel Aviv on May 14, 1948, by the Provisional Council of the newborn State of Israel.
The land of Israel was the birthplace of the Jewish people. Here their spiritual, religious, and national identity was formed. Here they wrote and gave the Bible to the world. Exiled from the land of Israel, the Jewish people remained faithful to it in all the countries of their dispersion, never ceasing to pray and hope for their return and the restoration of their national freedom. Impelled by this historic association, Jews strove throughout the centuries to go back to the land of their fathers and regain their statehood. In recent decades, they returned in their masses. They reclaimed a wilderness, revived their language, built cities and villages, and established a vigorous and ever-growing community with its own economic and cultural life. They sought peace, yet were prepared to defend themselves. They brought the blessings of progress to all inhabitants of the country. In the year 1897, the First Zionist Congress, inspired by Theodor Herzl's vision of the Jewish state, proclaimed the right of the Jewish people to national revival in their own country. The Nazi Holocaust, which engulfed millions of Jews in Europe, proved anew the urgency of the re-establishment of the Jewish state, which would solve the problem of Jewish homelessness by opening the gates to all Jews and lifting the Jewish people to equality in the family of nations. The survivors of the European catastrophe, as well as Jews from other lands, proclaiming their right to a life of dignity, freedom, and labor, and undeterred by hazards, hardships, and obstacles, have tried unceasingly to enter Palestine. In the Second World War, the Jewish people in Palestine made a full contribution in the struggle of the freedom-loving nations against the Nazi evil. The sacrifices of their soldiers and the efforts of their workers gained them title to rank with the peoples who founded the United Nations. On November the 29th, 1947, the General Assembly of the United Nations adopted a resolution for the establishment of an independent Jewish state in Palestine and called upon inhabitants of the country to take such steps as may be necessary on their part to put the plan into effect. Accordingly, we, the members of the National Council, representing the Jewish people in Palestine and the Zionist movement of the world, met together in solemn assembly today, the day of the termination of the British mandate for Palestine. By virtue of the natural and historic right of the Jewish people and of the resolution of the United Nations, hereby proclaim the establishment of the Jewish state in Palestine to be called Israel. The state of Israel will be open to the immigration of Jews from all countries of their dispersion, will promote the development of the country for the benefit of all its inhabitants, will be based on the precepts of liberty, justice and peace taught by the Hebrew prophets, will uphold the full social and political equality of all its citizens without distinction of race, creed or sex, will guarantee full freedom of conscience, worship, education and culture, will safeguard the sanctity and inviolability of the shrines and holy places of all religions, and will dedicate itself to the principles of the Charter of the United Nations. In the midst of wanton aggression, we yet call upon the Arab inhabitants of the State of Israel to return to the ways of peace. The State of Israel is ready to contribute its full share to the peaceful progress and reconstitution of the Middle East. Our call goes out to the Jewish people all over the world to rally to our side in the task of immigration and development, to stand by us in the great struggle for the fulfillment of the dream of generations, the redemption of Israel. With trust in Almighty God, we set our hands to this declaration. At this session of the Provisional State Council in the city of Tel Aviv, on this Sabbath Eve, the 5th day of Iyar 5708, the 14th day of May, 1948.
Our call goes out, the declaration says, out through the narrow apertures of sandbag parapets, to the accompaniment of Sten guns and machine guns, and the beat of 700,000 hearts. Our call goes out. These are their ruins, these their dead. But ruins they have known before, and sudden death is nothing new to them. Who was it? Some Englishman, perhaps, who said, better to die on your feet than live on your knees. Upon the ruins they will build again. In the name of their dead and for their living, they will build again. They will build this nation under God. Their declaration has a peaceful ring, but they will guard these fields and all that's theirs until the last invaders left their land. The last of 7 bitter nations who gave the new-made state a few short hours before they crossed its borders armed with steel. Their declaration has a peaceful ring, but they know well the dangers they may face before they see again plow, saw, and engine building up a state. Out of the earth of Israel, made fertile with their sweat and hope and now their blood, they've drawn the strength to fight for what is theirs. Quickly they gained command of war techniques, as once, in time of peace, they gained a quick command of all the ways to bring an old and long-neglected soil from desert wasteland back to life. Yes, their declaration has a peaceful ring. But when that Friday, May 14th in Tel Aviv, they gave their declaration to the world, they knew they'd have to beat their plowshares into swords, turn farming trucks to armored cars, before this dream of 80 generations was founded firm, was more than dream, more than words on paper. And so they made their arms and ammunition. Young girls left schools and quiet fields to join the Haganah, the army now of Israel. Young boys left books and plowing to join the Haganah. Jerusalem to Tel Aviv and back again, the convoys traveled the dangerous roads, protected by the Haganah. The young man in back, the one with dark hair, he's been reported dead. The one on the left, he was 17. He's been reported dead. But their declaration of independence was proclaimed with the knowledge that the citizens of Israel would count their dead and bury their dead, and still lift their faces to their God. We hereby proclaim the establishment of the Jewish state in Palestine to be called Israel. And this, their state, will live and grow. Out of their own strength, out of the nobility of their purpose, they shall win the peace they want before all else save freedom. But whatever the present may hold, whatever the future may bring in peace or in war, the development of Israel will be carried forward. First, the sacred promise will be kept. The promise made to the Jews of Europe, the Jews still languishing in camps on Cyprus, that now at last they will find their home. That now, at last, they will be brought to the land fathers. On Friday, May 14th in Tel Aviv, the declaration was proclaimed. And on the day that followed, ships arrived. Ships which for weeks had dodged the battleships of England came safely into Haifa port. Welcome, fellow citizen of the State of Israel. Hands idle in the camps for these long years will know the feel of blessed work again. The land they'll need will be acquired. Land for new farms, new villages, new factories, new cities. The hated land laws made in England 1940 are no more. But Israel will not play the role of conqueror. The stand from those who own it. As in the past, gaunt hill and sandy waste will come by legal sale and legal deed. And all this land will be reclaimed, improved, and used for benefit of all. For those new citizens who will build and live in the new cities of Israel, 100,000 dunams will be bought. For those who will come in their thousands to live and work on the land, 3 million farmland dunams will be bought. As in the past, this land will be reclaimed, dunam by dunam, inch by inch. Torrents of water will be poured upon the soil, hard, thirsty soil that will be changed to rich and fruitful loam. The old impoverished earth will be turned and sifted and revived. Forests will be planted. Tractors and plows, spades and threshers, scythes and drills and machinery of all kinds will be supplied. Engineers and architects, surveyors, physicists, chemists, and irrigation experts will study and analyze problems of the reclamation of the land. For this is a dream no longer, this state of Israel. It is here and now. However embattled it may be, even as the battle rages, the plans are made. Plans for a 10-year land program. Plans that call for mighty efforts and great sums of money. Working in cooperation with the State of Israel, the Jewish National Fund will be principally responsible for redemption of the land in the coming era. And land is the nation. Land is growth. Land is first a lonely sand dune, then a teeming city. Land is first an empty waste, then a grove of oranges. Land is life. Let the land be made to work at its full capacity, and Israel will flourish. Its industry will flourish, and its products will go out to the ports of all the world. The state of Israel will be the center of trade in the Middle East. And with its ships will go another product, listed on no bills of lading. A dynamic influence for democracy, made in Israel and vital here in the Middle East to peace everywhere on earth. Led by its own government, according to its own laws. Behold the state of Israel. Courage and faith are the heritage of its youth. Courage and faith are the watchwords of its struggle.
We hereby proclaim the establishment of the Jewish state in Palestine to be called Israel.